I stalked my husband for 2 years before I formally met him. When you think of the word stalker, chances are, the first image that would come to your mind is this violent and sly stranger who lurks in the shadows, patiently waiting for their victim. And when their victim steps into the picture, this sinister human being would observe their target and get close to them and bam! They would strike like a hungry and vicious predator. That's the exact image that came to my mind when I thought of the word stalker. I never thought that a stalker would be this petite, 5 feet 1 inch brunette girl who trips over her own feet. I never thought that a stalker would be me. And the thing is, I didn't realize that I became a stalker until I was in too deep. I never thought of what I did as stalking, I simply thought that it was a cute crush that tactfully turned into a love story. The first time that I laid my eyes on my now husband Tyler was when I was a freshman in high school and he was a freshman in college. Back then, I listened to way too many love songs and binge-watched romance movies that led me to believe that there was someone out there meant for me, and only me. And from the moment I saw him, I realized that Tyler was that person for me. My brother Nick and I were once hanging out at the dog park, and you can thank my mom for that, as she believed that Nick and I were arch enemies and not actual siblings, so she would force us to do stuff together. I was in the midst of eating my ice cream when Nick called Tyler's name, and my eyes landed on one of the most handsome guys I had seen up to that point. A charming smile, striking green eyes, and the body of one of those Abercrombie models that I would see at the mall. My teenage self was head over heels in love with Tyler in an instant. It turned out, Nick and Tyler knew each other from high school. The two of them attended the same school and were in the same circle of friends. It was the first time they had seen each other since their graduation months ago, so they talked for quite a bit, not that I minded. I stood there, awkwardly playing with Tyler's dog, hoping he would acknowledge my presence or even ask my brother who I was, but Tyler never did. He was so indulged in the conversation with Nick that he never looked away once. They spoke for not less than 30 minutes before Tyler's dog started getting too whiny, so he excused himself, telling my brother that he would love to meet up later and catch up with him. As soon as Tyler walked away, I started bombarding Nick with hundreds of questions about him. But I did it in a way that Nick wouldn't notice that I was crushing hard on his best friend. And Nick being Nick, I'd say that he never noticed it. When we made it back home, I immediately switched on my laptop and opened my Facebook account. It didn't take me long to find Tyler's Facebook account since he was on my brother's friends list and I already knew his first and last name. I clicked on his profile and then the About section to find out more about the boy that I had just fallen in love with. His Facebook profile didn't leave much to the imagination. His About section had all the information I needed: his age, the town he lived in, which was obviously in the same town as me, and the university he went to. I started browsing through his photos and found out that he had a younger brother, so I clicked on his profile to find out that he went to the same high school as me. My body was pumping with adrenaline, and I was so ready to go to school the following day. Much to my dismay, Tyler's brother wasn't in the same classes as me since he was a year younger. I wasn't too thrilled about this fact, but then luck seemed to be on my side that day, because I spotted Ian in the cafeteria sitting by himself. He was a carbon copy of his brother, only with younger features. I walked over to Ian with my lunchbox and sat across from him with the excuse that I couldn't find another empty seat, which wasn't a lie. Ian was a bit shy and awkward at first, but as soon as I started talking to him about how much our school's history teacher was unfair with her grades, that seemed to get the conversation going. I was the one doing most of the talking the entire time, but he was responding to me and seemed to be glad that he wasn't eating lunch alone like he usually did. I found out that Ian didn't have many friends since he had just transferred from another school, so I befriended him. I know you're probably thinking that I only befriended him because he was Tyler's brother, which I'm not going to deny was true, but I really saw Ian as a friend. It took half a semester of Ian and I eating lunch together, every day, for him to invite me over to his house. I almost wanted to engulf him in a bear hug when he invited me over because I was going to finally meet Tyler again. I was high on adrenaline the entire week, impatiently waiting for Friday to come so I could go over to Ian's house and see Tyler. And the best thing about it, Tyler would never know that this was months' worth of effort from me. It would seem to him as if I was this random friend of Ian who happened to be staying the night at their house. From the surface, it won't seem creepy at all. I lied to my parents about whom I was going to spend the night with because I knew they would never agree to let me stay at a boy's house.